Marathon, Lesson 8. Core Content Objectives. I can define the term civilization, explain the significance of the Battle of Marathon, describe how the contributions of the ancient Greek civilization have influenced the present. Language Arts Objectives. I can categorize and organize facts and information on the ancient Greek civilization. Recount the general story from Marathon using a somebody wanted but so then chart and discuss with one or more peers. Draw a picture to represent information and details from Marathon. What contributions did the ancient Greeks make to modern civilizations? Today, you are going to hear about another large civilization that existed in the time of the ancient Greeks. These people were called Persians and were ruled by a king named Darius. This empire was very large and powerful and had conquered many areas near where the ancient Greeks lived. The Persians are coming! The terrifying news raced through Athens like a rapidly spreading fire. The very name of the Persians meant terror to all the Greeks, and now King Darius had sent an army of Persian foot soldiers and cavalry to punish the Athenians. Darius was angry that Athens had helped other Greek city-states fight against Persia. A fleet of 600 ships had brought as many as 20,000 experienced Persian soldiers to a beach about 26 miles from Athens, near a wide, flat plain called Marathon. There are not enough of us to face them, moaned an Athenian army general. Besides, no one can beat the Persian soldiers. But another Athenian general, a man named Miltiades, answered, The Persians fight for a king most of them have never seen, and who cares nothing for them. We fight for our freedom and for the freedom of our children. That must be something worth something in battle. Now in those days, the Athenians had 10 elected generals plus another military leader called a polemarch. Callimachus, the polemarch, gathered along with the 10 generals, including Miltiades, to create a plan of defense. One of the generals said, The plain of Marathon is a perfect place for the Persians to attack us. There is room for their horsemen to move around us, and there will be nowhere for us to go to avoid their well-organized soldiers fighting on foot. Another general suggested, Let us send our fastest runner to Sparta. The Spartans are the greatest fighters in Greece. If they will help us, we might have a chance. But it was 150 miles from Athens to Sparta, and some of the journey included rugged mountains and streams. The generals knew they would need a runner who was fast and strong. Philippides is our man, the generals agreed. No one in Athens can touch him for speed over a long distance, so they sent swift-footed Philippides to call on the Spartans for help. Then the generals called together all 10,000 Athenian men of fighting age. In every Athens home there were tearful goodbyes. At last, the Athenians started off toward the plain of Marathon, about 26 miles away. Meanwhile, the Persians were camped on the beach near the edge of the plain. The Persian commander in charge told his men, We will win such a great victory here for King Darius that the rest of the Greeks will simply surrender to us. The Persians were so confident, their commander took no special steps to guard his camp, other than sending the cavalry off on their horses to search the area a few times a day. As all this was happening, the strong legs and powerful heart of the Athenian messenger Phidippides carried him toward Sparta. Phidippides ran as he had never run before, stopping only a few times to drink from streams or rivers. He ran for almost 3 days until he reached Sparta and the 2 Spartan kings. You must come with your armies at once, or it will be too late, he explained. To his horror, the Spartan kings answered, We cannot leave before tomorrow. Sparta is in the middle of a religious holiday honoring the gods, and our law says we must finish before we can leave to fight. By then the battle will be over, and we will have lost, Phidippides exclaimed. He set out again to carry the news to the Athenians that they would be on their own. As it turned out, this was not true. As the Athenians marched toward Marathon, 1,000 Greeks from another city, having heard the news, joined them. Together, the 11,000 Greeks marched over the mountains to the plain of Marathon. As they did so, Phidippides arrived to say, "The Spartans cannot help us." The generals were horrified. "The Persian army is much bigger than ours, with many more soldiers," one pointed out fearfully. "We should surrender and beg for mercy," cried a second. "There will be no mercy," said Miltiades, the general who had spoken boldly back in Athens. "The Persians are here because we helped other Greeks strike back against them. The Persians will not stop until they have destroyed us." The 10 generals voted. Should they surrender or should they attack? Each side won 5 votes. Then Miltiades remembered something. Callimachus was allowed to vote too. Miltiades told him, "The decision rests with you. You will decide whether we surrender and agree to serve the Persians, suffering all that this will bring, or whether we will fight and live as free people." Callimachus trusted Miltiades. "What do you think?" he asked. Miltiades answered, "If we do not fight, the people of Athens will be frightened too, and will surrender the city to the enemy. All of Greece will follow. But if we attack before fear sweeps through our camp, I believe we will win." Callimachus said, "Then let us fight." Luck was with them. The Persian commander had sent his cavalry off again to make sure no other Greek armies were approaching. While the horsemen were away, the Greeks spread out in a wide line. The Greek generals purposely put more men at either end of their wide line, leaving the middle as the weakest part. Then, shouting a loud battle cry, the Greeks charged. The Persians were startled. No one had ever run toward them. Nevertheless, they moved forward toward the Greeks. "Look how weak those fools have left their middle," laughed the Persian leader. But the laugh was on them, for just as the Greeks had planned, the Persian moved to the middle first and pushed back the Greek line. But then the stronger Greek forces on the edges circled around and attacked from the sides, catching the Persians between them. The Persians, confused and unable to defend themselves, turned and ran for their ships, with the Greeks hot on their heels. In fact, the Greeks captured 7 Persian ships before the Persians could even reach them. The other Persians sailed away. "We have beaten the mighty Persians," the Greeks told one another in amazement. Then they remembered their families were waiting for news at home. Legend said that Phidippides proudly volunteered, "I shall carry the news." He set out again, leaving the scene of the battle at Marathon, and as he reached the gates of Athens, the people gathered around him. He was just able to gasp out one word, "Victory!" Then his great heart, which had carried him to Sparta and back, finally gave out. Phidippides fell dead at the gate of Athens. In tribute to Phidippides, the Greeks measured the distance he had run from Marathon to Athens, and those 26 miles became the distance of their long-distance races. And this is why today we call a long-distance race a marathon, in memory of Phidippides and all those who fought for freedom on the plains of Marathon.